The cynics, egotistic pride, portraying themselves trying with their skepticism hastily to stop you. But you, with your beneficiary of dark presentation that quarries in the gist of your hardened forbearance of liberality, with death stones sanctioning them in the cusp of their denial, thinking they could ever make a conservation of your unearthly enchantment, they having beckoned with the total recall of your rare and uncommon prudential esoteric theme. They were ostracized by their typical citation of theatrical coursing, declined from privilege. You see, you not only possess a Segula with ominous inhibitions that screech inside within the eternal evade, you also, with your conniving arrogance, overpowered their tactics to harness yourself with your own resort of deviance, derailing them in a disadvantage that avails your legatee of gut-wrenching aspiration, synchronized with a totality brutalizing their schemes within the folly of description, mentored inside of you, where your shadows thrive, and thrived they did, drowning them in a deep well of spiritual incarnations. You, yes you, as well dismantled them from their additional demand that only faltered them and melted them down like the amenities of worthless metals. Yes you left them in the smog of incoherence. The demons you innately compromised with, in the Shiloh deep in the depth, you in your deprivation, breaking yourself down with inside trifling with a declaration enhancing you in your solitude, as a resourcefulness that ceased them from like-mindedness, crippling them, having been unable to sink any compatibility in the storm that you are weathering, a raging tempest of fury. You pummeled them in the deceit of their despair, an ethic only you could designate, and in the black evangelizing from sources that shift the air in a thick, dark gloom that is impenetrable. You petrified them within a spine-chilling exclusion. You not only puns them, you leave them scoped out with the daring interest that divulges them away from hell's fire, grounding them in a subtotal freeze. You left them desperate to escape the pain. You and your hypothermic tolerance, integrating your formidable happenstances with a death toll that exerts them towards their failure, leaving them to the cold of the abyss. They tried you, to rift you with an excursion, not knowing it was such a risk, conflicting and clashing with the darkness that threads, a diabolical characteristic, entwined with the many losses of those who tried you, leaving a trail of those who expired by the insignificance of their shame, thinking they could conspire against you. You just showed it to be irrelevant. It was always you having permitted a retaliation inexorable to fall upon the malevolence for those who dare to rise up against you. You and your assortment of deviation perceived by those whose tactics, externally, can't drown what pierces through them. The insanity of you. The you that equips your lunacy, severing them in their incapacitation. Trying to understand the depth of the heathen inside of you leaves them to their inadequacy. You and your helter-skelter expires them from their practical sense of integrity, making encryptions a status, with a prelude through the arrogance, as though you defied reality itself. They didn't know what they were coming up against, and you, yes you, in your adherence, not only torn apart their serendipity, it was in fate's chance, breaking apart the revelation of the simple-minded, seeping out the deep black insignificances that escorts any and all trivial matters, their petty acquiring, insufficient by the effort to attain their miserable conception, believing they could ever mischief you in your expression that's thoroughly made to repudiate and spurn their entitlement all along. You decoding their compliance in an order by the fashion, peculiar within your recognition, a conniving dynamic, validating your odd competitive origination, defeating and overthrowing them. Yes, what lives inside you is a principality, ingenious and with a crepuscular intervention, that concludes to lapse in a terminate, you've already won, obscured, and overshadowed in the Valley of Darkness. You. It was always you they fear.